Welcome to Fit and Pain-Free the Bonnie Pruden Way. I'm Enid Whitaker, and I'm joined by Sandy Dirks. Our program each month will center around fitness pioneer Bonnie Pruden and her accomplishments, her method of exercise, and pain erasure the Bonnie Pruden Way, or Bonnie Pruden myotherapy, which is a way to get rid of muscle-related pain. Join us as we begin each meeting with a few tension relieving exercises.
Welcome to Fit and Pain-Free the Bonnie Pruden Way. This month, we're talking about a couple of exercise routines that have become very special to all of us. The hugging routine and the bed ballet. And Enid, would you like to start us out on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Like many things Bonnie did, they kind of happened on the spur of the moment. And the hugging began when we were invited to do a workshop for what was known as the Laconia State School for the Handicapped. And because it wasn't very far away, New Hampshire, a lot of the staff went with Bonnie. And it was a 3-day program. The first day we worked with the people who were the caretakers and the people that made sure everything went well. The executives, the people that cared for them, and the teachers. And we used all the equipment. And one of the things that I can remember particularly about that was that one of the instructors said to Bonnie, you do things backwards. You make us use the equipment and then you tell us what we did instead of explaining stuff ahead of time, which actually works better because once you experience something, then telling somebody why they did it makes sense. So that was just one of my takeaways from that whole thing. But the second day we worked with the higher functioning people that lived there. And then the last day, they brought in 30 people in 30 wheelchairs with people wheeling them in. And they couldn't see, they couldn't hear, they were just non-functioning. And as Bonnie used to tell the story, she said, God, what shall I do now? And she, whoever said, hug them. And I can remember just as well as it was yesterday that she said to me, Nadja's theme, sit there. So I put on Nadja's theme and I sat in the chair. And all of our instructors, plus the people that had wheeled everybody in, followed Bonnie in the hugging. And that's how it was born. After we finished, everybody in the wheelchairs was smiling.
And what did she do? Yep, what did she actually do? So she put the music on
and she went through a hugging routine where she hugged everybody, hugged me in the wheelchair, and everybody followed her to different movements.
Yes, she put you through movements.
Yeah, passive movements, as you would actually a baby, if you were exercising a baby.
Yes.
Afterwards, people in the wheelchairs were smiling and everybody else was crying. That's how moving it was. So that's how it was born. And we've used it ever since. When we have a workshop, it's the last thing we do. By the end of the workshop, everybody knows everybody pretty well. And many of the people who come are physical therapists or massage therapists, and they're used to being touched and touching people. So it's also one of the ways that you can use it very effectively is if you have somebody in a nursing home, either a relative or a friend that you go and see. They're not always communicative, and this is a way to communicate with them and also be helpful at the same time. Music is the last thing to go, and when people will tap their hands or hum or even sing when they don't talk. And often after using the hugging with somebody with the music, they will begin to talk again. So it's a very powerful way. Don't underestimate the power of music and touching, because it's amazing what can happen with that. So that's how the hugging was born.
Okay, and then did bed ballet then follow after that, or how did bed ballet come about?
Bed ballet came about when Mark, his name was wheeled into Bonnie's home in a wheelchair, and we had a massage table in her living room set up for him, and he was put on the massage table. He had been hit by a car on purpose. And Bonnie asked him what he could move, and he said his thumb, and he wagged his thumb. And right then and there, Bonnie and I did a bed ballet, never having heard of it before, where we moved him through full range of motion. And eventually, with the myotherapy and the bed ballet and the other corrective exercises that Bonnie was part of Bonnie's program, he was able to walk again, and he was able to swim. He could drive a car. He had his speech back. So it didn't happen overnight, of course, and he and his father worked really, really, really hard with it to get him back to living again. But that's how the bed ballet was born. When Bonnie had her triple bypass, Dottie and I went to the hospital and did bed ballet with Bonnie. So it can be used with anybody. And when my son Russell had a high-speed blowout, and he had a concussion, when he finally did get home, Lori and her friends took him out on the front lawn on the massage table and did bed ballet with him. So even if you have a little kid in a cast or something, or that is bedridden in hospital for some time, just doing bed ballet, it's a different, hospitals are so non these days. You feel like you've lost yourself. It may be an hour before anybody comes to answer your ring. And so a different way of looking at something, either with music or with movement, or even sitting in a different chair helps.
Yeah, we whenever we did workshops, we always ended with hugging. And actually, my first exposure to Bonnie Pruden was when I went to, I think it was a one-day pain erasure workshop in Minneapolis, and I was the person who was doing it with the first person, and it was lovely. And then, unfortunately for me, the next piece of music was for the Rotten Teenager. And so I thought when I sat down, I was going to get the same lovely movement. But and it was fun. It was, it was a faster, bouncier what you would do with a teenager as opposed to someone in a nursing home. That was my first exposure to the hugging routine.
Well, also we incorporated into something Bonnie invented again
Uh-huh.
called Grandkids Anonymous,
Oh, okay.
where we trained first graders to go into
Uh-huh.
nursing homes and exercise with the people that were there. And it always ended with hugs.
Yes. Yes.
Because
It was.
a lot of people don't have family and don't have anybody visiting them. And a lot of kids never knew their grandparents because either they had died or they lived too far away. So this was a whole new invention of Bonnie's, the Grandkids Anonymous.
Yes. And it's the gift of touch as well as movement to music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will include, actually, in all of her books, I think probably starting with pain erasure, there are instructions on how to perform hugging and or bed ballet. And then we're going to include at the end of this segment a couple of videos that were shot doing the hugging and the bed ballet. But it really is a wonderful way to exercise with others and communicate.
Oh, I can't tell you how many people buy that book, but they don't know the hugging and the bed ballet are in it. You
Oh,
have to go beyond the pain portion.
oh yeah, you do. You do. But it's such a wonderful way to connect with others. And again, to get the gift of touch, of music, of movement, for someone who can't do it for themselves. It's absolutely fabulous.
Well, one of Bonnie's books was actually the talking book for the blind.
Uh-huh.
And that was a 4.5 hour on record program, which was amazing, which could be used by people who were blind, deaf, or anything. I actually used it to convince the people that were in charge of nursing homes to put the program in the nursing homes. I had all these executives in suits and ties sitting around a big table in a room, and I told them to close their eyes, and I put on that record for the blind, and that convinced them that the program should be in their facilities.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, we've been given many gifts.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you'd like to say before we show about him?
Well, since we're just talking about the blind,
Yeah.
Harold Krentz was Bonnie's first blind. He wasn't a patient. He came to her school in her Institute for Physical Fitness, and she went around with a blindfold on for 3 weeks before he came, so she'd know what it was like. And she decided that if she could get her hands on it, she could do it. And so Harold was instructed in how to use all the different equipment. He had a bellwether friend who helped him. And the Broadway show, Butterflies Are Free, is based on his life loosely. But he became a lawyer and an advocate for special needs people in Washington, D.C.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Anything else you'd like to bring up?
I think I've run out of things.
Okay.
But they're not here in my head right now.
It's all good. Okay. Well, I hope that everybody enjoys the videos that we have on both hugging and bed ballet. And again, the information is in the books as well. So we're happy to be able to share this with everybody. So thanks very much. And we'll see y'all next month.
Now, I don't know how many of you know the person or the process of Domen Delicato, but it was a big thing in the 80s, I believe, and somewhere in Pennsylvania, where they took people who couldn't walk, couldn't crawl, couldn't do much of anything, and they patterned them. The problem was when they patterned them, they were talking about what they were going to do that night. And there were 5 people to 1 person working. And if you're not concentrating on the person under your hand, it's not going to do a lot. So even though this might look easy when we're doing it, it's emotionally exhausting. And it's a bed ballet because we're not just doing this, we're doing this. So we're actually dancing with the person on the table. When my son had a high-speed blowout when he was about 17 and ended up with a concussion in the hospital, and when he came home, as you know, people are not the same after that happens, at least for a while. And Lori and friends used to take him out, on the lawn, on the massage table, and put him through the bed ballet. So this can be used on almost anybody, and it can be done with one, there's a way to do it just with one person sitting at their head in a bed, and doing it as if you were exercising an infant. So you just relax, close your eyes. Close your eyes. So those of you in the chair, close your eyes. And those in back of the chair, follow me when I... Ask your partner if they have any neck pain, and if they do, go easy. Bonnie said everybody needed to be hugged, even the rotten teenagers. So we devised, or she devised, the next thing for the rotten teenagers. And as Bonnie says, keep fit, be happy.